In this video we will look at the analysis of tasks function of Elaine. You will note that we need to be logged in as supervisor in order to be able to access the analysis filter layout, where we can choose the tasks that we wish to analyze. In this instance we will do a new find request by clicking on the new find request button and type in motel. This will bring us all the motel listings and we can then analyze them. Elaine then checks to see that the data in the various records is valid, and you can see that we have found 356 tasks involving motels. To analyze these, we need merely click on the task statistics button at the bottom, and the analysis is automatically carried out and presented in table form. We can see that of the 356 total tasks, 15 were finished after deadline, FAD finished after deadline. To make this easier to view, I will scroll down, click on the magnification button at the bottom, and we can now see the data in larger format. So we can see at the top Motel 4 has 45 entries. For Motel 4 the target time is 75 minutes when performed as a standard clean. Of the standard cleans analysed here, the minimum percentage of the time was 67%, the maximum was 227%, and the average was 103%. So while the average is within acceptable limits, we may want to check why one took 227% of the time. There may often be different reasons why a particular task may seem to be an anomaly. Perhaps it was extra dirty, perhaps the staff were extra slow. Of the cleans, 6 required corrective actions, CAR corrective action required. The minimum number of CARs for a task was 1 and the maximum was 4, i.e. one task had 4 corrective actions required, and the average was 2.5. The minimum grade for a clean was -78, which again would probably merit some further investigation. The maximum was obviously 100, whereas the average grade was 78, which these are the inspection grades. Obviously the tasks have to be remedied before the particular unit can be resolved, but this is the grade that's occurred on average at inspection, and 78 is lower than one would wish for and would probably merit further inspection. So when we look at just the cleans, the standard cleans which are performed against time targets, we can see there's been 34 of these. 33 were independently inspected. 6 had corrective actions required, with a total number of 15 corrective actions required. Down below we can see summarized of the various key performance indicator areas, any shortcomings in the task performance. So there were 5 CARs involving the kitchen, and the worst of these CARs was -60, and the best of them was -20, which isn't very good. Likewise with the bathroom, these would therefore merit further inspection to see what in fact was going on. If we look at the services, which by definition are self-inspected, we see that there were 7 of them. The minimum time for a service was 33%, the maximum was 117%, the average is 57%, which would tend to indicate that one might look at revising the time allocation for completing a service. To the right we can see the number of spring cleans. There was 1 spring clean performed to adequate standard. For reference purposes we have put it down as a percentage of the clean time, just as a sort of an indicator. On the left we can see the CXs. The CX is different from a spring clean. The CX is a clean where some extra factor has been thrown in, perhaps an additional task, or perhaps the unit was particularly messy prior to cleaning, and the only difference between a CX, clean with extras, and a clean is that for a CX we suspend the time. We find this was up to grade, and again for reference purposes we note the time taken for a CX compared to a standard clean. And we can repeat this all the way down through all the various motels. On the right we can see two occasions where in NA a task was entered but for some reason, which will have been noted, was not completed, and we can see that 8 of the 45 tasks were in fact self-inspected. That briefly summarizes the task analysis for Elaine. It should be noted that there's not so much you get answers as more questions. This here at one level is an answer to how well was this done, but that in turn raises the question, why was it not done so well?